Welcome back, my little nightmares, me, Queen Nightmare, and I'm going to do a reading of Drarry Fanfiction. As you all know, this may be weird because I'm posting 2 today because, you know how I work. But I will tell you this. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm having one of those type of days. And weeks, years. Yeah, years. Let's put it that way. I have found this fan fiction, and I'm thinking of not doing it. I'm going to look through these. I'm going to do one that is... How about... Why is it taking a long time to find out which one I should do? Is this one good? No. It's just so hard because there's so many of them, but some of them, I kid you not, are 50 pages long or 100 pages long. And I'm like, who has the time? Okay. Let's just say screw it and last year troubles. By Pointless Tests. It's on Wattpad and I have the innocent. Starts off after the war and students are returning to Hogwarts. How will our heroes and villains cope with the new year? Dinner with the family. Oh, no. Author's note. Yo, it's your boy, Alex. I'm ready for a new story. Drarry, of course. I might try out a Hermione. Did I say that wrong? I'm sorry. Or Hermione. Hermione, there we go. Hermione. Haven't I... Oh, that's Harry and Hermione's story. Never heard of that ship. Well, I mean ship as in that name. Ship. Anyways, it was currently July, the war is over, and Voldemort was destroyed. Ginny and Harry broke up after the war, since grief was getting in the way of their relationship. Now they were secluded, sorry, I can't read. From the other most of the time. There were no hard feelings between the two. Harry, can you please pass the butter, please? George asked. The whole remainder of the Weasley family and Hermione were having dinner at the Burrow. Although the table was empty by 4 seats. Sure, Harry passed the plate of butter over to George. He took it and started to spread some over his bread. George had grown his hair out and cover the ear where his ear should be. Cover the scar where the ear should be. He also dyed his hair brown with an enchantment. These days, George would remain very quiet and reserved. He hadn't pulled a single prank since Fred died. Let's take a moment, because he was one of my favorite characters, and I wish one of these stories would say that, oh yeah, Fred never died, and I'd be like, oh, thank goodness. Because I would cry. Everyone stayed relatively quiet. Just the quiet clanking of silverware on plates. Hey, Harry, mate. Hermione and I were wondering, are you going to go back to Hogwarts for your final year? Ron asked. That cued Molly. It would be very good if you went back for your last year. Hermione and Ron decided to go back. I think you should as well. You can go back and enjoy your last year, Molly reasoned, Harry. Harry shook his head. I don't think I could go back there. Everyone will want to know what happened, and I couldn't bear to talk about it. Harry said. He continued eating his dinner. After a couple minutes, George spoke up. Don't do what I did, Harry. You need to experience your last year with as many happy memories as you can. Don't let your last memory of Hogwarts be the war. You might even meet someone special, George said. Harry looked towards George and smiled. You're right, George. I shouldn't let my last memory of Hogwarts be negative. I'll go for my last year. There you go. I love that, here's just something I've noticed over the years of watching the movies and had my friend tell me a little bit about the book, is that George and Fred, even though they did pranks, but they were always there. You know, for the voice of reason for Harry. You can tell, like, you don't really notice it when you're going through the movies. You're like, no, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Harry don't need advice. But every once in a while, they do get advice from the twins. And it's kind of cool because they're in the background, but they always help whenever they're needed. Which that just it makes me really happy and sad at the same time. I'm sorry. Just it gets me every time. I'll go for my last year, Harry said. Hermione and Ron were so happy that Harry changed his mind. Arthur started to collect the dishes. I'll take you to go get your books, if you like, Arthur offered. Harry helped him gather the silverware. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll just go alone. Harry declined. The family kept a bit of a distance from Harry. They understood he needed to be secluded a little. He really did need to be secluded for a while. Once the table was cleared, everyone left to do their own thing. Arthur cleaned the dishes. Molly started knitting. Hermione and Ron cuddled on the couch. Ginny and George went to their own rooms. Hermione and Ron underwent a little change as well. Hermione had cut her hair. What? No, why does it say cute? Had cut her hair to make it a very short pixie cut. And Ron had grown some ginger stubble. You know what? Even though the actual actress of Hermione, can't think of her name right now because I'm kind of like going blank with everyone's name so far, did have a really nice pixie cut, and I'm looking at Hermione doing that, and I think that would be a really cute thing. I think she would look better with short hair than anything with the big brush of hair. I think pixie cut would be better for Hermione if the character ever cut her hair, you know what I mean? Harry ran up to his dresser drawer and grabbed a big gallon bag. Is it a gallon or bigger than a gallon? Because I'm so confused. A bag of gallons. Never heard of galleons. You moron. I'm sorry. If you're new here, I'm sorry that took a while, but I learn new things every day. Nowadays, Harry just lived with the Weasleys, so he ended up getting his own dresser for his clothes and other personal belongings. Harry ran downstairs with the bag. I'm out to get my books, Harry told Molly as he passed her. He then walked into the flow and was off to... Okay, here we go. This is one of my challenges. Diagon Alley. Did I say it right? Because I remember when he said it, he was like, Tiger Lily or something like that, which was like really funny. Narcissa Malfoy and Draco Malfoy sat at the table eating dinner. Narcissa sat at the head of the table with Harry sat sat to her right. Lucius was serving a triple life sentence in Azkaban for his involvement in the war. The two ate silently. Draco ended up changing his hair too. He got a full undercut and left the top to curl on its own. It suited him a lot more this way. I want a picture of that. Or like someone sent me a picture of what it would look like. Draco. Did I say her name wrong? I literally skipped over that. I will try to pay attention. Draco, I think you should go to your last year of Hogwarts. At least then you can find a job somewhere. I'll be selling all of Lucius's businesses. Sorry, it sounds like she got a divorce and she's like, I'm getting rid of his shit. I'll be selling all of Lucius's businesses, so you won't be able to work there. Narcissa and Draco sighed. Narcissa said, and Draco sighed. I can't go back there. Everyone hates me, and Potter will be there. I can't see him, Draco said. After Harry had saved him, Draco thought a lot about how cruel he was to Harry. He felt ashamed to see him. Narcissa wiped her mouth with a cloth napkin. You really need to go. You need to be able to find a job. After your father, people will be hesitant to hire you. So we'll need a diploma. Maybe you could become a potions master or grow your own ingredients garden and sell them, Narcissa told him. Draco understood. All right, I'll go back for another year. Draco agreed. He knew how hard it would be finding a job, so he did need that certificate. Also, Draco, another thing, Narcissa added. She reached over and held Draco's hand. You should try to find someone special in your life. We are, for all the pureblood nonsense, if you find someone you love and they aren't pureblood, you should still love them. I don't care any more about our pureblood status. I still want you to be happy. I liked this about Narcissa. In the movies, I don't know about the books. My friend never told me anything about her in the book. But every time Narcissa was in the movie, she always cared about Draco. She didn't care about the pureblood status. She didn't care about that. She just wanted him to be happy. So I'm glad that they're channeling this from for Narcissa, and it's actually kind of cute. I absolutely love this. This story's starting out really great, and it's starting as not as great as the Snarry story I'm reading right now, but it's still good. I just want you to be happy, she said. Narcissa gave. I'm just gonna call her Mrs. Malfoy because it's bringing out my lisp, and I don't like that. Mrs. Malfoy smiled lovingly at Draco, and he smiled back. Draco nodded, and he excused himself from the table. He ran to his room and grabbed a cloak and money and went to the flue. Draco flew to Diagon Alley. I got it. I'm so happy. To gather his books for the next year, for the new year. Harry was walking from Flourish and Blotts, and was looking around the book aisle. He pulled a couple of books out and made sure that they were the correct ones. Harry moved to another section. He grabbed a book, but it pulled back. Oh! Harry let go and looked through the aisle. Draco Malfoy's face was staring back at him. Holding the book Harry tried to acquire. Oh, I'm sorry. You can have the book. Draco apologized. He tried to give the book back, but Harry pushed away. It's okay. You can have it, Harry said, although his face was generally expressionless. Draco watched through the aisle as Harry got the rest of his books, and laughed to find another book. His hair bounced a little as he walked. Harry had decided to start growing it out. It didn't take long for it to be about shoulder length. It resembled a lot like how Sirius's hair was, but it suited his face. Draco had an idea. He walked after Harry. "Potter, hold on," he called. Harry stopped and waited for Draco. "I just wanted to thank you for saving me back in the room of requirement. And thanks for getting my father put in Azkaban." Draco thanked sincerely. Draco carefully gave him a hug while still holding the book. Harry didn't hug back, though, since he was holding his books with both hands. Draco placed his book on Harry's stack and disappeared through the aisles of books. Harry kind of stood there in shock from what Draco said. Harry continued to the cashier, and he rung his books up and left the store. Draco ended up finding all his books and another copy of the one he gave Harry. He paid the cashier and left the store. He didn't go anywhere else, fearful that someone would recognize him, and he flew home. Harry flew back to the Weasleys and carried his books in. "You won't believe what happened at the bookstore," Harry said enthusiastically as he walked into the house. Arthur looked down at his newspaper. "What happened?" he asked. Harry placed the stack of books on the coffee table. "Draco Malfoy walked up to me and thanked me for saving him, and then he thanked me for putting his father in Azkaban, and he was genuine about it," Harry said, astonished. He laughed a little. "Bloody hell," Ron said. Hermione smacked him on the arm for cussing. "He hugged you?" Wait, no. You know what else he did? He hugged me," Harry added. Ron cocked his eyebrow. "He hugged you?" Ron repeated slowly, as he was talking to a madman. Harry nodded his head. "Quite awkward, but still, I think he changed now that his father is put away. I mean, his mother was the reason I'm still here. She's a good person and probably a good influence," Harry said, grateful. Hermione gasped. "What do you mean? How did she save you?" Hermione asked. This was news to the three. "When I was killed?" Harry used finger quotes. "She ran over to me to see if I was breathing still. She knew I was still alive, but she told Voldemort that I was dead. That bought me a good amount of time to regain consciousness. If I was shot with the curse again, I would be dead." Harry said this was news to Ron, Hermione, and Arthur. Why didn't you tell us about this?" Arthur exclaimed. Harry picked up his books and walked upstairs. "Guess it slipped my mind until now," Harry said. It was a poor excuse of an excuse, but an excuse nonetheless. Harry ran up the stairs with his books and put them in his room. "What am I going to do with him?" Arthur said, exasperated. There we go. I'm getting used to the long words and such. Train ride to Hogwarts. Author's note. I have a really good feeling about this story. I think it's gonna be cool. By the way, can someone draw the scene in the train? I really want to see how Draco looked. And I can't draw for shit. Okay, I am just like this author. I can't draw, but I can write stories. And I want to see how Draco looked too. I'm going to miss you so much, Molly exclaimed over the crowds of people. She kissed and hugged Hermione, Ron, Harry, and Ginny goodbye. They left their trunk and animal cages with everyone else's and boarded the train. Ginny broke off to find her other friends. The trio looked around, trying to find an empty compartment. Once they found one, they placed their smaller bags in the overhang and sat down. Soon the train was moving. Destination Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. The trio were talking when they saw a cloak figure pass by their door. That's pretty odd. Who would wear a cloak on a train? Ron thought aloud. Harry just hummed in response. It looked like it was like Draco's from the bookstore. They turned their focus away when they saw the cloak figure come back to their door. He lifted his face up, and knocked on the window glass. They looked at each other, and Harry got up and opened the door. He then realized it was Draco. I'm sorry to bother you, but would you mind if I sit with you guys? No one else will let me, Draco whispered. Harry nodded. Sure, come in, Harry said. Draco went into the corner closest to the door and sat down. Harry closed the door and sat down next to him. Draco pulled his hood back and untied it from his neck. He placed it on the ground in a pile next to him. Thank you, Draco said meekly. Hermione and Ron were very surprised at how Draco was acting. Thing is that entitled people, if you haven't seen any videos of people that were entitled and they get what they deserve, this is exactly what happens. He learns from his mistakes and he kind of regrets it. So it kind of changes how their look in life. So this is what happens. A lot of them, I have seen this happen before in movies and like actual life experience on like for stories. People have actually changed drastically like this, becoming more polite and apologizing for everything they've done. This is how normal this is. Hermione and Ron were very surprised at how Draco was acting. The three also noticed that he had a cut on his face and some bruising around it. They also noticed that his new haircut and different style of clothing. He wore a comfortably loose black long-sleeve shirt and gray sweatpants. He took his shoes off and pulled his legs up to crisscross. He then took a book out and started to read, as to not disturb the others. Everyone was really quiet, in awkward silence. Harry stood up and reached for his small bag in the carry-on. He pulled it down and looked through it. He pulled out a book labeled Healing for Beginners. He looked through the pages until he found what he wanted. Malfoy, can you look at me? Harry asked. Draco got very nervous, but he put his book down and looked at him. He flinched with a surprise when he saw Harry's wand aimed at him. Don't worry, I'm just going to fix the cut, Harry assured Draco. Draco nodded his head and stayed still. Epskey. Sorry if that's wrong. Episkey. So, Harry casted. The spell landed on Draco's face, and the wound started to mend together in seconds. Harry lifted his hand to touch his cheek, and was relieved that the cut was gone. Thank you again, Draco thanked him. He continued to read his book. Harry put his book away and placed his bag back on the overhang. The rest of the train ride home was exceptionally boring after that. Everyone, mostly read and or had a couple of short conversations along the ride. Hermione left so everyone could get dressed in their robes. Draco didn't speak for the remainder of the trip. When the train stopped, the trio gathered their things and got ready to leave the train. Draco got his things ready but remained seated. The others were leaving the compartment, but Harry waited a moment. "Aren't you coming?" Harry asked, puzzled at why Draco wasn't walking out of the compartment. Draco twiddled his thumbs. I think I'll just wait for the train to become less crowded and leave then." Draco answered, and Hermione and Ron stood there. We've got to go, Harry," Hermione insisted. Harry looked back to them. "You guys go on ahead. I'll catch up with you," Harry said. Hermione and Ron were hesitant, but they nodded and left with the crowd. Harry sat back down in the compartment across from Draco. Draco sat there wearing his Slytherin robes, and Harry in his Gryffindor robes. "I'll walk with you to get a carriage," Harry said. He made eye contact with him. Draco gave him a thankful smile in response. Once the majority of the students left, Harry and Draco exited the train together. They found a carriage, but it was occupied by Luna Lovegood. "Don't be shy, there's plenty of room," and Luna said in her very dreamy voice. "Wait, don't be shy, there's plenty of room," Luna said in her ever dreamy voice. She took some new colorful glasses out and put them on. Harry and Draco stepped into the carriage, and away it went. Harry watched the Thestrals' joints move around. It caught the attention of Draco. "What is that?" Draco asked, looking at the Thestrals. Luna and Harry looked at him. "Those are Thestrals. Every carriage is pulled by them, but not everyone can see them," Luna said casually. Harry straightened his back. "Yeah, you can only see them if you've seen someone die and remembered it. Most of the students should be able to see them, sadly," Harry added. He dazed off, looking at the Thestrals. Luna's glasses started to blink lights. Both of your heads are filled with shallows. Are you worried about something?" Luna asked. Harry laughed a little. I'm always worried," was all Harry had to say. Draco nodded his head to that. The rest of the carriage ride to the castle was Is it uncomfortable? Because they said uncomfortable silence. Quiet, and because that sentence doesn't make sense. When they got there, they noticed that just about everyone was congregated outside in the courtyard. The three exited the carriage and focused their attention on Minerva, who seemed to be gathering everyone. Thank you all for I don't know where that voice crack came from. I'm going through puberty. Thank you all for staying out here. I just have a couple of new announcements before you walk in. We had to remodel 76% of the school, so there has been some changes. The dungeons have been flooded, so we created a new tower for Slytherin in the East Wing. A lot of the classrooms have been relocated, so there are signs all around the school to help you get where you need to go. Also, as the new headmaster, I have gotten rid of the 4 tables in the dining hall. I created more unity, and I have instead added circular tables, and there's a limit of 8 to 9 people per table. And while I have you here, let me remind you of the Forbidden Forest is forbidden, and anyone walking about after hours will get points deducted and detention. You are now dismissed to the dining hall. Minerva concluded. She moved out of the way to let the crowd of students walk in. It took a moment, but everyone realized the dining hall is still in the same location. Yeah, I don't understand. They never, in the movies, they never, ruined the dining hall, too bad. They broke the plates and stuff like that. They broke the windows. But other than that, no one touched the dining hall. And, they haven't destroyed the room. If you ever see the movies, not a single thing was broken. So I was just, other than the windows and the plates, which kind of shocked me a little bit. Crowd of students walked in. It took a moment, but everyone realized the dining hall was still in the same location, and they all made their way there. Let's go, Harry said. Harry, Draco, and Luna lagged behind the group and were one of the last people to enter the dining hall. Most of everyone had found their group of friends and took a seat at a table. Harry, over here! Ron shouted. Harry heard him and followed his voice to a table in the corner. Harry started to walk over to them. So far, only Hermione and Ron were there. He looked back and noticed Luna and Draco seemed a little lost. Harry turned back to the two. If you want to sit with us, you're more than welcome. There's enough room, Harry said. Okay, Luna said happily. She started to follow Harry. Are you sure the others wouldn't mind? Draco asked timidly. Harry turned back and smiled at him. You'll be fine, Harry said. It wasn't very assuring to Draco, but he followed anyways. The three sat at the table. By then, Neville had joined them. Harry sat down, then Draco sat to his right, and Luna to his left. Neville sat next to Luna, and Hermione was next to Draco. Ron was in between Neville and Hermione. Was that 8? Luna, Draco, Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Neville. There's 2 places. What? Huh? Okay. Harry's back faced the middle of the room, while Ron faced the room. As soon as everyone sat down, the food appeared before them. Ron immediately dove in. Eat slower and chew your food. You're going to choke at this rate, Hermione scolded. Harry laughed at their antics, and he went to pick up the plate of turkey. Funny enough, Draco had also reached for it at the same time. Draco blushed and muttered an apology. It's all right. Here, Harry said. He used the tongs to pick up 3 pieces of turkey, and he placed it on Draco's plate. He then placed 3 slices on his own plate and set the turkey down. Thank you. Thanks again, Draco said. The 2 started to eat. Luna took her glasses off and set them down. Do you think your mother is a good influence? Luna asked randomly. Draco took a bit of salad and placed it on his plate. I'd like to think so, yeah, Draco answered. He was getting a little nervous. He noticed that she meant it in a good way. Yeah, she just, blurts out things. I'm like that too, but mine are meaner. I'm not a very good Luna Lovegood, and I never will be. I like that she was very direct, though. She's like, do you think your mother is a good influence? You know? Okay, going on. Draco... He hoped she meant it in a good way, and not a condescending way. That's good, Harry. Harry thinks so as well, Luna added in a dreamy voice. She just continued to place food on her plate. Really? You think so? Draco said. He looked to Harry and he just shrugged. What can I say? I admire her, Harry said. Draco just nodded in response. What have you been up to, Luna? Is your father continuing with the Quibbler? Not too sure. I don't remember anything in the movies anyway. Neville asked. Luna shook her head enthusiastically. He finally started to write again, and once I graduate, I'm going to work with him on it, Luna said happily. Malfoy, what are you going to do after school? Hermione asked. Draco wiped his mouth before speaking. Maybe work in an ingredients garden for potions, or maybe become a potions master. Draco answered. What about you? I was going to continue my athromancy lessons and try to become a curse breaker. Hermione answered simply. She always did have high expectations for herself. The rest of the dinner was filled with a little chatter and a little banter between Ron and Luna. Draco even added a couple things here and there. Once Minerva saw that everyone had finished, the food and dishes disappeared from the table. Minerva rose from her chair and caught the room's attention once more. It almost slipped my mind to tell you. The people who are here to finish their 7th year have a very special temporary area of the castle that contains their dorms. There will be 2 students per room. Boys with boys, girls with girls. Whenever you find your room, just ring the bell on the dresser and the house elves will bring your luggage. You are dismissed, Minerva concluded. Everyone left the dining hall to find their towers and dorms. The 7th years followed the signs placed on the walls. Soon, everyone got to the designated area. They looked around and noticed that not a lot of students decided to come back. Draco noticed that the majority of 7th years composed of red, blue, and yellow robes. There were only a couple of Slytherin students here, and here and there. The area was a large space. There was a common room in the middle, and surrounding the common room were many doors. Behind the doors were the rooms. The group split up and tried to find a room that didn't already have occupants. Draco looked around and didn't notice any other people he knew that liked him. No, I feel that. I'm not laughing like, haha. I'm laughing as in, I relate to it. He noticed more stink eyes than any. Harry noticed Draco's distress and placed a hand on his shoulder. You can room with me if you want, Harry offered. Draco smiled and nodded. They found an empty room and pressed the bell. A moments later, their luggage appeared at the foot of their beds. Ron walked into the room. Oh, there you are, mate. I was looking for you, Ron said. He looked around the room and noticed their bags were already ready. Never mind, mate. I think I'll try to find Neville. Later, Ron said. He left the room and closed the door. Ron and Draco started to unpack everything. Draco ventured around and opened another door that was in the room. It led to a double bathroom with 2 showers, 2 sinks, and 1 toilet. At least we don't have to walk through the common room to get a shower, Draco commented. Harry giggled at that. Hey, Potter. Hey, Potter. There's been something bothering me. Why are you being so nice to me? All I've ever done to you was being horrible and make fun of you and your friends, Draco said. Harry stopped packing and smiled at Draco. I didn't expect you to apologize to me, yet you did, and you even hugged me. The other Malfoy I knew before now would never do that. You changed. I noticed how scared you were to come back. I also think you've been getting into trouble. Something told me to help you out. So, here I am, Harry said. Draco kind of stood there. Thank you for giving me another chance. Draco thanked him. No problem, Malfoy, Harry said. Oh. Call me Draco, Draco said, as he hated being called a Malfoy nowadays. Harry nodded. The two finished unpacking and took a shower. When they were done, Harry dressed into pajamas, walked out to sit in the common room with Hermione and Ron. Draco just stayed in bed and read a book. Harry, over here, Hermione said. She flagged him down to sit next to her and Ron. Harry sat down and made herself comfy. Spill your guts, Harry. Why are you acting so buddy-buddy with Malfoy? Ron accused. Yeah, I mean, it's great, all that you're getting along with him, but why now? Hermione asked. Her voice was a little more calmer than Ron's. Harry sighed. I don't know. I mean, he apologized to me, sincerely, if I may add, and obviously he's getting punched by some of the other kids. The cut was made by someone that punched him while wearing a ring. I felt like I needed to comfort him a little. And he almost had a panic attack just trying to find a room with someone, Harry explained. Hermione nodded her head. Ron wasn't satisfied. Okay, I get it, but do you have to room with him? He could have gone with Neville. I know Neville wouldn't mind. He's almost as if you like the bloke, Ron said. He calmed down a little, thankfully for Harry. Thankfully for Harry, the lighting was too dark to see for the others to see Harry's face. He had a deep blush, but Ron mentioned him liking Draco. He just started to imagine his face. Now that I think about it, he does have pretty eyes, Harry thought, and his new haircut suits him well. He looks like a hipster. Harry shook his face a little and concentrated. You do not think his eyes are pretty? They're gray. They're boring. Yeah. Ah! No! Harry tried to convince himself, although he was still secretly thought of his eyes were gorgeous. Draco sat in bed reading a book, although he was having a hard time concentrating. Why does he have to be so damn nice? Draco said to himself quietly. And the nerve he has to keep eye contact with me and smile. Damn, perfect teeth, perfect eyes, perfect lips. Draco stopped abruptly. His face flushed, and he covered his face with the book in shame. No, he thought. He's just plain and normal. He's not perfect. He's just ordinary. Ordinary eyes, ordinary smile, ordinary lips, all ordinary, he thought to himself. Just then, Harry walked into the room and sat down on his bed. He got into his bed and pulled the covers over him, turned his light off, and placed his glasses on the nightstand. Draco followed, and marking his place in his book, laying it on the side, and turning off his light. He pulled the covers over and rolled it onto his left side. Unfortunately, Harry is very used to sleeping on his right, so the two faced each other. There was just enough light from the moon through the window that they could see each other. "Good night, Harry," Draco said meekly. He turned onto his other side to face away from Harry. He started to close his eyes when he heard Harry. "Good night, Draco," Harry said back. Draco smiled to himself. The two fell asleep somewhat soon after that. Author's note: Yo, yo, yo! I made this chapter softly gay. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that. If my laugh's too loud, I'm sorry. I need to drink my coffee. The gayness will intensify, so keep reading. Oh, hell yeah! Alex, I love you. Whoever this person is, go give them love because they're the writer. They're amazing. And they said that they'll intensify the gayness, and I'm like, I'm so for it. Yes. Close? What time is it? Yeah, we can finish this. Oh, yeah. Awkward morning and awkward classes. Hiyo, muchachos. I can't read. Heyo, muchachos. Hope you like the story so far. Alex. You know who that is. Draco woke up at 6 a.m. to someone groaning. He sat up in bed and turned on the light. He looked over and saw Harry talking to himself, having a nightmare. Draco walked over to him and shook him a little and tried to wake him up. "Harry, it's just a dream," Draco said. Harry all of a sudden sprung out of bed, grabbed Draco, and flipped him onto the floor. Draco was on his back, and Harry was on top of him, straddling him. Harry got back to reality and looked around. He grabbed his glasses from the nightstand and put them on. He saw Draco under him. "Oh, shit! Sorry about that." Harry apologized. He got up and held his hand out for Draco. He gladly took it and stood back up. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to flip you. It was just a reaction." Harry apologized again. Draco rubbed his head. "Don't worry, it's okay. It's fine. I just tried to wake you up. You were having some nightmare," Draco explained. Harry walked over and turned the main light on. "Damn it, it's only 6. Harry sighed. He lifted his glasses and rubbed his eyes, then ruffled his hair. Draco watched Harry rummage through his drawer and pull out a hair tie. He put the hair tie in between his teeth, pulled his hair into a small, messy bun, and a man bun! Yeah! Now he's a true hipster. Into a small, messy bun, and then tied it. Draco blushed and looked away from Harry. He looked so cool with his hair tied back. Draco thought to himself. Draco went to his knees and lowered his head upon his bed, under his bed. He stuck his arm under the bed and reached for one of his trunks. Harry started to walk to the bathroom, but looked to his left and saw Draco's bum. Ooh! Harry blushed and continued to the bathroom. Draco finally found his comb, and he joined Harry in the bathroom. When he went in, Harry was already showering. Draco made sure he couldn't see him before he took his shirt off. Draco looked into the mirror and frowned. He traced his fingers over the deep scars on his chest. It was all that remained from the sectum spara curse, the one that Draco gave him. He looked at his forearm. Thankfully, the dark mark had lightened up in the color, but it was still visible. Draco scratched it unconsciously and stepped into the shower. When he was done showering, he stuck his hand out to grab his towel and wrap it around his wrist. Draco poked his head through the curtain and saw Harry at the sink, brushing his teeth. Draco cursed at himself. He didn't want Harry to see his arm or the scars. Fuck it. Sorry if you don't like the F word. Have you seen my channel? Draco thought to himself. He stepped out of the shower and went to the sink and started to fix his hair. Draco looked out of the corner of his eye, but he looked away, ashamed. Harry never knew he left scars on him. Draco ruffled his hair with his gel, and then started to blow dry his hair. Also, by the way, if you ever blow dry your hair, always have it at a cooler setting, because the heat from the blow drying, if you don't have the right thing on your like attachment onto the thing, can damage your hair very fast. So that's why you should use it at like maybe, I heard like hair dryers have like a cooler setting. That's what you should do. Okay. Draco ruffled his when it was all dry, his hair was soft was in soft curls. The two were only wearing towels, but Harry didn't care. Harry turned to Draco, grabbed his shoulder, and turned him to face him. Harry reached over and grabbed Draco for a hug. Draco froze. He held his hands away from Harry's back. I didn't know you got scars from me. I didn't know what the spell did. I shouldn't have used it. I'm sorry. Harry apologized. Draco thought. What did Draco think? He wrapped his arms around Harry and returned the hug. I deserved it. Was all Draco said. Harry tightened his grip. You don't deserve those scars. No one should be left with that deep of cuts to begin with, Harry retorted. Harry let go and walked out of the bathroom. Draco looked under the counter and took out a bag of bandages. He wrapped his forearm up, then secured it with some tape. He left the bathroom and got dressed in the room. Harry towel dried his hair until it was almost completely dry, which you shouldn't do, because that also ruins your hair and makes it doesn't help with breakage, by the way. And then he started to get dressed as well. The two left the room and started to head down the dining hall. When the pair got there, they sat down with Hermione. Ron came a little later, then Luna, and then Neville. They collected their times tables. What? Times tables? How old are these guys? And do they mean like their schedules? Is that what they mean? I've never heard of a times table, which is, unless it's a times table for like multiplication. And then headed off to their first class. Since they were a limited amount of 7th years, all the students had the same classes. First period was potions. A tall, slender woman was seated at the front of the desk. She had long black hair and was wearing a black fitted dress. Hello, class. My name is Mrs. Tuva. Let's go, Tuva. Tuva, I will be your new potions teacher. Today we will be brewing the antidote for Vitra serum. Page 287 will have a list of ingredients, and all on page 385 will have the steps. Begin. Everyone bustled around to find ingredients. Everyone had one cauldron, and which would work with. One cauldron which would work with. They would work with. Draco immediately grabbed all the ingredients he needed and began his work. The room slowly started to heat up from everyone's burners being on. Mrs. Tuva opened a window, but it didn't do much to cool down the room. Harry, Draco, Hermione, and Ron were still working at the same table. Harry kept on pushing his hair out of his face, but it kept falling into his eyes. Harry ended up pulling out another hair tie and tied his hair into a messy bun. Hermione did the same with her bushy hair. Wait, what? She had a pixie cut. Someone's not keeping consistency. Draco blushed lightly. Harry did look hot with his hair up in a bun. Draco was sick and tired of all the heat. He pulled his robe off, unbuttoned his top. No! 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 They're gonna see the scars! This is why you need an undershirt, like a tank top or something. And I'm glad he bandaged up his wrist. Sorry, I freaked out. Unbuttoned his top button. Oh, just the top button. Loosened his tie and rolled up his sleeves. Draco was glad he wrapped his arm up. Same. No one really paid much attention to him, but Harry stole a couple of glances at him. He looks cute when he's concentrating. Harry thought, shit, no, he looks perfectly normal when concentrating. Not cute, Harry argued with himself. Not once everyone was done with their potions, Miss Tuva got the class's attention. If your potion looks like water, please hand me a vial of it so I can grade it, she told them. Harry looked at his pot and frowned. It wasn't completely clear. Of course, Hermione and Draco finished it correctly. They handed the professor their vials and went back to their cauldrons. I will find out your grades tomorrow. Homework for those who didn't complete the potion correctly. 6 inches on what you did wrong. 6 inches. People keep on saying 6 inches. Is that how people say 6 pages, or is it 6 inches as in how long your paragraph has to be? Please let me know, because this is new. Because as you see in this one, it's the same. Why was I tired? It's the same as the other one. You remember the Drarry story? If you ever seen it, the latest one. Class dismissed, she said. A couple students groaned and they left, but they left relatively fast. The new defense against the dark arts teacher was a chubby guy by the name of Ulrich. He was an exceptional, boring man. Since Minerva became the new headmaster, the transfiguration spot was filled by a middle-aged, skinny woman
who was named Agnes. The rest of the day was exceptionally boring. Though Harry and Draco snuck glances at each other throughout the day, no one noticed. Once dinner was done, everyone headed to the common room to start their homework. Hermione and Draco finished quickly, but Harry and Ron were still stuck on their potions essay. Hermione gave up. She sat in front of them and tried to explain it to them. Harry and Ron were still lost. Draco decided to give it a shot. Let me try. Okay, so you already know the ingredients are baneberry, neem oil, ma, and death cap. If your potion was a milky clear color, then that means you heated your potion up way too fast. The baneberry has a waxy skin which will melt off. If you heat it too fast, the wax will float around in the potion and give it a milky look. You need to heat it up slowly so the wax will properly dissolve instead of melt. And if your potion was a clear yellow, it means you added too much neem oil. Draco finished. It was certainly a simpler explanation than Hermione was saying. Harry and Ron understood and soon finished their papers. The group talked for a little bit and then headed to their dorms. Ron went with Neville and Hermione with Luna. Ron went with Neville and Hermione went with Luna. Harry and Draco went back to their dorms and fell asleep. Note from author. Lamau! Hi! Be ready for drunk Harry, Draco, Hermione, Luna, and Ron in the next chapter. Oh no! Okay, and we're going to do that later. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop it here. I hope these weren't boring. I'm tired. Wow, okay. Thank you guys for watching. I really enjoyed having you guys here. Be happy, be healthy, and always be loving. If you haven't yet, put on push notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys so much. Bye-bye.